A drunk idea, approved sober, is a great idea. Welcome to part 3 of my first-person shooter, round-based survival game inspired by Call of Duty Zombies. This devlog will be more about game design than game development. So let's start off with explaining that quote. So, as you might have guessed, that quote was not from Sun Tzu, but from some drunk game dev friends of mine. What they meant by that quote is a game design idea you come up with drunk and can approve sober is bound to be a great idea for a game, right? So with the help of those same friends, that's exactly what we did. So today is going to be about going over those ideas that we came up with and changes to the kind of game design that pre-existed in Call of Duty Zombies that you all know. So the first thing we started with was taking the basic game design principle of zombie games, but we wanted to change up that formula to avoid making the exact same experience, so we divided our options into 3 packs, which if you look closely remain quite similar to the options present in normal zombies, but we shifted the balance and approach them slightly. We decided to replace the perk system with a round-based roguelike mechanic called boosts instead. We also changed up the balance dynamic of the mystery box to something more like a pack-a-punch, because the boost in itself will act as the pack-a-punch and the weapons themselves are more the variety and options instead to have more impact. With the lack of Juggernaut, we wanted to add a mechanic like armor that you can see in Call of Duty World War II to help the player, especially in mid-rounds where they might struggle with health. As for the points, we decided to keep the system almost identical to COD, with killing enemies dropping what we call scraps, but we also wanted to add a second currency, and that currency would be used outside of the main gameplay loop. So let's talk a bit about what happens outside of the main gameplay loop itself. So before starting a game, players will be given the option to increase their initial stats in a format similar to the cards in Fallout 76 or chips in Nier Automata. These chips, components or cards can be upgraded with a resource we are going to call gold for now, that can be earned by completing games. With gold you can increase your base stats like health, fire rate, speed, stamina, but you can also spend your gold to buy consumables such as ammo drops, medkits, double points, etc. And the final thing you can spend your hard-earned gold on are, well, perks, or at least we're going to be calling them that for now, which are more expensive than the usual boosts, but give a more particular bonus, such as, for instance, a kind of last stand, where you would be invulnerable should you suffer a hit that would have been fatal. So that pretty much covers all the new ideas. As you saw, it's not that much, but it was a necessary step. So those are mainly the ideas I'm going to follow for the future of the project, but I haven't spent the past 2 weeks just brainstorming. With all these ideas, I wanted to test these ideas as soon as possible. So I went ahead and implemented most of them in a very basic form to see how it feels, although it's not quite ready yet. But I thought I could share the progress. So I started the development side by making the round-based system that I hadn't done before, from spawning enemies to making boosts appear in between the rounds. Now with enemies spawning, it was time to implement the enemies' deaths, damage, and giving scraps once they've been killed. So I set up spawn locations for the enemies, and spent quite some time also making sure that they didn't just follow the player in a straight line, but moved more like a horde, even though that's still a bit buggy at the moment. And to finish the in-game loop, I added the doors to access different parts of the map. With that, all that was left to have a complete prototype was to add a main menu and a death screen. Oh, and I also made a typewriter macro for my widgets. Here it is on screen. Don't ask me why I did it. I just did. And it serves no purpose yet. So, I also wanted to apologize because I did say I was going to work on animations, but Drunk Patrick had other plans. So here we are. But I did manage to get a bit of animation done, so I'll have it play here in the background while I do the outro. I hope you enjoyed part 3 of this devlog. I feel like this devlog, specifically the third one, was really important to do as it forced me to take a step back and really ask what am I trying to make. So I'm really glad that I did do that, even though I had to get drunk to do that. So thank you for watching. I will see you in the next devlog. But before you leave, I want to share a draft of a potential title for the project. And if you're still here, please feel free to leave some feedback in the comments below. I would really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching.